Time on Morning at NTV.
Yeah.
We are emboldened by your presence.
Good morning, viewers of NTV, especially my constituents of Nakaseke South. Greetings to you. I know it's raining. You should utilize these rains because you know what we've gone through for quite a long period of time. We've been hit by drought. So you can utilize it and ensure that at least we become productive in terms of food. So my pleasure to be on NTV this morning, sir.
A very good message there to your people. I'll be asking whether Parliament is aware of so much that is going on in terms of the decisions to be able to sell power to Kenya and everything that rotates around that. I would like to welcome you to more or less resident analyst, Captain Francis Papu.
Actually, somebody asked me, well, why do you comment about these things? I said, listen, this country is ours.
That's right.
And until you pass on, you've got to be interested because we've got children and grandchildren.
That's right.
Who must get a good country. And therefore, I do not agree with those who hide themselves, who have got facts.
They should be out there.
They should all come out
and help the country understand.
With our representatives and people in government to make sure that things work very well. Thank you very much for having me. And I'd like to thank all Ugandans who are on there. We'd like to pray for the people in Kenya so that they can get over their problems.
No doubt.
And I think we should have peace in the whole of East Africa.
We are going to have peace.
And those who are causing destabilization, we must warn them that you are affecting all of us.
The commitment for peace is there by all stakeholders, and I'm sure...
I don't want a rhetoric, I want real peace.
All right.
Yes.
I'm not having a rhetoric. All right, welcome to the show.
Captain Babu made a mistake. Showing Ugandans that is only interested in working for children and grandchildren. Should work for all Ugandans. We are all interested.
Those are all Ugandans. Your children, my children, his children.
You should say all Ugandans.
All Ugandans.
Segment.
For me, I think we are working for the posterity. We are here.
You should also work for Rutamaguzi.
No, I've been working for you. That's why you're in Parliament.
You prepared the way for him.
Yes.
All right. Many thanks for coming to the show, gentlemen. Allow me delve into the discussion this morning, the Isimba Power Dam. Captain,
yes, sir.
I would like to ask you, given your good offices, given your vantage point, given your experience and ability to make inroads into what is happening in some of the departments of government, what is happening at Isimba?
Well, first of all, our viewers should be told, where is Isimba? You know, you talk to Ugandans. Yes. Isimba, where is it? And first of all, what is it? Isimba is in Kamuli district. In
Kamuli district.
And it's a dam which has just been built. It's $567 million spent by the government of Uganda, which is about 2 trillion Uganda shillings. Yeah. Started in 2015 and was commissioned around 2019.
That's right.
So it is already on. It's supposed to give us power, which is about 184 megawatts.
Yeah, officially stated.
Yeah, it's got 4 power units. 4 power units.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. These are turbines that turn big generators, which give us electricity.
Yeah.
It is found in that house you talked about, the powerhouse.
The powerhouse, yeah.
Now, when water goes in there, it affects those equipments, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about today. Unfortunately, when it was commissioned, there were faults which were left by the
Chinese company.
No, they agreed that they would do them within 6 months. That's 2019. 6 months later, they were not done. They were given an extension. It's called a defect liability period, which goes on for normally a certain time. So it went to 2021. It went to 22, and up to now, those faults actually can also cause that flood.
That's right.
Some of those faults. The other faults are in structural building. So we still have to have those done. Now, they tell you they have 4 power units. They are telling you they are going to export power. I'm very grateful that they are going to export power. But there are 4 power units, only 3 have been working.
We've already exported power.
Yes, there are only 3 power units that have been working. One of the power units has never worked. And this incident which occurred the other day, we were very lucky. Nobody was in the powerhouse. They would have died. They've had it previously, and three people died. This has happened 3 times, from what we're told. Now, said and done, according to this, it was a human error. That was the report.
Yes.
With the permanent secretary. She said it was a human error, and that there was this young who was on duty, engineer. They have got something they call operations and maintenance, crew, and these are the people who do that. So he says he opened the gate of the water, and the water went into the powerhouse. Now there's also rumors, and I'm sorry to say this, the accusations that the people who are there are young engineers who have just come out of universities, are not supervised by the senior engineers.
They're not supervised, yeah.
Now when they come back from China or from America, wherever they train them, they are supposed to undergo an apprenticeship.
Yes.
Minimum apprenticeship. Usually apprenticeship go between 6 and 1 year and 2 years, depending on the size. And the people who normally do it are the senior engineers here or ESCOM in South Africa. Now, we want to know about all this. Why is it that the power, number 4, is not working up to now? Who has kept it? Each of those units is giving you about 45 megawatts.
That's right.
So 45 to up to 180, 84. Now, human error, fresh engineers, and then the problems that now, is it because this is Isimba? No, it also happened in Bujagari. It also has happened in the other one.
No,
the one going to Gulu.
The one going to Gulu. Which one is that?
Yeah.
Nyagak.
Not Nyagak. No, Nyagak. This is just here on the Karuma.
Yes.
They have also reported faults. Remember, they took their experts and engineers at Karuma. They are now going to take experts and everybody to this one because they know what the faults are. According to the report, the faults at handover were quite many, actually about 700 and something, which have to be put right.
Faults at handover of these
At handover, and when they were giving them certificates, yes. So, 775 documented on the outset, and the ones which were found after they had handed over.
And they were deemed insignificant?
No. They agreed that they were going to do them.
Yes.
And they did something which they call defect liability period. They give them a period.
That's right.
In which to repair those things.
And that period has elapsed with most of them not repaired.
Now, the one of Karuma was even worse because people were named who had got kickbacks. And they said money had been taken even to foreign countries. The question is, are these true? Now, I hate to judge people. I think an investigation, I've had the permanent secretary say that they are going to investigate, but that powerhouse is got turbines, is got generators, is got lifts going there, is got all sorts of electrical equipment, is got all sorts of, so it is the heart of the dam. Yeah. Now, if it is not well repaired, then they're going to have problems. Now, if the minister, the permanent secretary, maybe something was stuck. Actually, one of the defects is that one of those gates is stuck. The defects. Yes. So we need to get somebody, honestly, and I'm saying an audit should be taken, not by our people. We should have an independent body. An independent body conducting and the quicker they do it, the better, because this is happening on all the dams which have been built. Now, we want to go and build something called Ayego, but before we build it, we should know what is going on. We should know what's going on with these. And as far as I'm concerned, those are the problems. And this massive flooding into this and the design, how was it designed? The designing that water can just seep through. That's right. And go into this place. And they don't want to report that people died earlier on. Now, we need to know. And I think the powers there be. Okay. Please don't take our criticism badly. It's done out of good faith. You speak of powers that be. We do have an MP here who is very ingrained in the ability to do oversight roles and know exactly what is going on with some of these government departments. And to be precise, I'm the vice chairperson Paklo government. Paklo? Paklo government. The vice chairperson. Paklo public account. Accountability Committee of Government. Of Government. Yes. Now, listening to Captain Francis Babu, giving us what is no doubt a very grim picture of the state of affairs at the dams in the country, it doesn't augur well. What is happening? What do you know? No, it's about quality of work and supervision. When you look into that scenario, it involves a lot of politics,
per se, because it's not the first time to have such kind of defects. We heard of Karuma. What happened? Everyone went silent. So Parliament is there, the ministers are there, but Ugandans should ask themselves a question: why now?
Have you asked those questions?
Yes, we do. You always say Uganda. Don't think that only MPs who are supposed to take every role of investigations.
I do ask
every Ugandan I am, like you, like him.
Yes.
We should all carry out investigations and ask ourselves the question: why now? And who are the people behind? What type of work was done? Is it the first time? Is it going to be the last time we have such kind of defects on our dams? The answer is no. There are politicians behind, maybe who are looking for something to eat from such projects. And secondly, you as countrymen, you should look at the cost even of electricity.
Before we come to the cost of electricity, Honorable MP, allow me ask, you're saying Ugandans should be able to speak out about this.
Very true.
You are in a position where you can educate Ugandans on what to speak about and how. But most importantly, you have the power as a member of Parliament.
No, you first listen.
Yeah.
It is not only Parliament which has powers. You have powers too to carry out such investigations. And you should look for the accountability from politicians and from the engineers.
What do you know?
There are several entities here which may carry out investigations over such dams.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just sit down and wait for Parliament to do auditing all the time. You fellow countrymen, you have the powers to carry out the audit even before Parliament. You have had several reports in Parliament. What has been done? Nothing has come out of such reports or investigations. So now the minister there, the minister is a politician. I am a politician. The reports may come, but they may go under certain influences. So if you just sit down and wait for Parliament to do for you everything, at a certain time even you wait for Parliament to make for you raids, which may not come. So you are Ugandan, I am a Ugandan, you people watching any TV, you are Ugandan, you should carry out audit before even we parliamentarians do our auditing. Because we know some of these engineers who are brought here, they are brought to run such projects by certain politicians in this country. Because some of such bigger projects have never been bidded for. You hear so and so has been given to manage a certain dam, then a few weeks or few months or few years, you hear there are certain defects on such dams. What happened to Karuma? A report came out and everyone went silent. And everyone was waiting for Parliament. Yes, Parliament can do that work of making investigations. But what about you ordinary citizens, you taxpayers? Because this is your money. And some of these politicians in such kind of, we call upward positions, are not ready to give up on their dark programs they are running behind such projects. You hear so and so is behind certain projects, so and so is behind certain projects. And then when it comes to accountability, you just wait for Parliament. You know better, especially you people who are in Kamuli. You know better. You can't tell me that there is a project or there is a dam being run in Kamuli where there are several big people in different non-political positions. You cannot go and try to see what is happening in Isimba. For me, I know the minister is trying to create certain source of fund for some of the videos. A whooping $200 million. You can't tell me at this time that you want $200 million to pay for power. It is going to do what? Can't we have alternatives? Before even we think of buying from Kenya, don't we have other dams which can fill the vacuum? The answer is yes, we do have. But because we have a sleepy population, which is all the time waiting for Parliament to do everything, I'm telling you, fellow countrymen, not everything has to be done by Parliament. We have senior citizens of this country. Even before you come to Kampala, there are people residing in Kamuli. What are they doing?
There you have it, Honorable Lutamaguzi. We do make our own commitment as NTV or Morning at NTV to ensure to reach out to the political leaders in Kamuli District understand how far they've gone in excavating all the information they need on what exactly is happening at the Isimba Power Dam. However, I would like to come to Captain Francis Babu and, of course, simply ask you to respond to what appears to be resignation on the part of Mr. Lutamaguzi.
No. Lutamaguzi, Honorable Lutamaguzi, is saying what he has found out. And we must respect his views. And look, in fact, I wanted to tell him that I'm very grateful to Monitor. On Saturday, they produced a complete page on Isimba. And not only that, the people, but I want also to say this, that there is a problem of understanding what is a generator, how is it generated. The average person in Uganda, do they really understand? Ordinary. So we need to get people to open it up for them so that they can understand. A lot of our people are in different walks of life. They are lawyers, they are doctors. They might not understand what this is all about. But to make it very simple, we are talking about a project of $567 million to the taxpayers of Uganda. Whether we borrowed it from Exim Bank in China or not, we still have to pay.
We still have to pay. No
Number two, which is extremely important, is that we have a shortage of power in this country, and therefore we need that power not only for investors but also for this country. Now, the other part we've got, it's a very good project for Uganda. And it will be very unfortunate because of these small little problems which can be solved by the ministry, by the people, to make sure that it's done. Now, the mismanagement of the Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited with its engineers, do they have enough engineers, the senior ones, to supervise the junior ones? Now, the reason I'm saying this is the second time this mistake has been made. There was another time.
Meaning there were no lessons learned from the very first one, and there was no effort taken by government
the management
to bring the people to book.
The management of that place. Now, remember, it's a bit far. Maybe the senior people don't go there, they prefer to stay in Jinja, which is nearer.
Very far.
This is 50 kilometers down from Jinja, Owenford Dam. You drive another 50 kilometers the other side to go to it. Now, I think what we need to do really, and I'm sorry, I'll have to ask the people, the powers there be.
That Captain Babu. Let me put this clear. I want it to it very well. You can put it
very quickly.
You said Isimba is very far from where?
Jinja. If I'm an engineer, I go to Owen Falls. It's nearer than going to Isimba.
But if you've been assigned tasks and roles at Isimba,
and you're paid
for that.
Thank you very much. That's what I'm trying to say. There's mismanagement. And that mismanagement requires that certain senior people are on duty with the junior ones. You cannot only leave but this used to happen even in Mulago. They would leave the whole Mulago hospital to interns. Now, the question, who do they leave the Isimba to? Another group of interns who are under apprenticeship? So these are the kind of things we need to look after. My worry is that if it happened in Karuma, it's now happening in Isimba. We are going to have we want to build another power unit. Remember that there are people who are against building these things on the river.
On the rivers,
because of tourism.
It causes a lot of contestation, especially on those within the Nile Basin.
They talk about a lot of things, including the lake going up, and the people who are receiving the water in Egypt are also complaining. So there are all sorts of things. The most important thing, and I think what our people have to know, is that this is an expensive project. And we need it to be looked after very well. Now, the people who did it is this structure, because it's cracking. They showed it to you there. There are cracks.
We saw that.
Now, the question is, what are we going to do? Because you look at Owen Falls, which was built in 1950, and until very recently, when it needed repair, was how many years? 1950.
Those were really more than half a century.
That's right. Now, why is it that these ones have been built less than 2019 is when they handed over, and now we're already having cracks.
All right, Captain Francis Babu and Honorable Lutamaguzi, allow me go into a break right now. This conversation will continue, and we shall be coming to Honorable Lutamaguzi for a lot more detail on the oversight role of members of Parliament in ensuring that some of these government departments do conduct their duties as they ought to. We shall also be discussing the culture of what is no doubt exhibited when a minister comes out and says we shall have this power unit probably working in the next few days. Is that the kind of communication that should be coming out? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Morning at NTV. If you are just joining us, welcome on board. We are discussing the restoration of power at Isimba Power Dam following what was no doubt a nightmare of time of the last 2 weeks. And joining me for the discussion this morning is Captain Francis Babu, a seasoned political commentator and veteran politician. I'm also joined by Lutamaguzi Semakula, the MP for Nakaseke South, who is also a member of a committee of parliament that should be able to look at some of these issues and, well, do the best they do. But he has told us that as Ugandans, we have the mandate as a people to ask the fundamental questions. And the question to you is, what questions are you asking? If you are a political leader, local government or otherwise within Kamuli or any other part of the country, have you done the necessary effort? Have you undertaken your own mandate to be able to ask questions on some of the projects that are going on? Well, that, according to Lutamaguzi Semakula, will be very fundamental in altering what is no doubt a degeneration of public service in the country, but also to improve our culture when it comes to oversight and accountability. Allow me ask the question to Honorable Lutamaguzi. Hearing the Minister for Energy, Minister Nankabirwa, speaking there and giving an update of what happened at Isimba Power Dam, the culture plays well into what you've just told us, that we should be able to do this on our own so that we are able to bring the government to book or to put it under pressure to account. When you see the attitude and culture of a minister speaking so casually about the fact that a unit could probably be underway in terms of what does that make?
No, it has become a culture in Uganda, especially among politicians, to talk when they are dilly-dallying, especially during a time when they are supposed to apologize to Ugandans. Nankabirwa is a political appointee. She can say whatever she wants, but the onus returns to Ugandans who pay their taxes and they want power. I don't expect much from a politician, especially of her caliber, not just as an individual, but the kind of ministers we have in this country who don't know what Ugandans go through on a daily basis. I would think that even before she could utter anything, as in terms of defending what was done or what's supposed to be done, she should have first apologized. Why is it that it has taken a long time to detect those defects? Because some of those defects on Isimba Dam were early on spotted. Early on, in fact, even before it was opened by the president, before it was commissioned. Why is it that it has taken them long to go and rectify such defects? So they may come out and explain, you know, Ugandans are very easy people. You come and you talk to them the way you want, the way you feel. No one will respond to you in a harsh manner because you are, after all, at the end of the day, as a minister, you go and collect your salary and go back home. But what about that ordinary citizen from whom you collect taxes on a daily basis, and some have opted to run out of businesses because of overtaxation? Okay. And for you people, the Chamagero type and the Babu type, you think that it is only politicians who are supposed to run everything? For purposes of clarity,
Chamagero is not anywhere here.
I'm just giving
personal.
Lutamaguzi.
Okay.
Yes. Lutamaguzi, Lutamaguzi.
The Chris Kigenyi.
No, not first. Because if I talk of Chris Kigenyi, yes, we'll say that he's a journalist.
All right.
And he's supposed to act independent and everything. But I'm talking about outside the
Ugandan out there.
The Ugandan who's outside there, that you have the responsibility to ask for accountability. Because at the end of the day, it is not going to end. And these people are going to collect money. They have already told you that they are resorting to buying power from Kenya. Why can't we get, because even the president came out and informed Ugandans that we have surplus power. If we have had surplus power, why is it that on within a small period of time you can resort to buying from Kenya? We could have used the surplus. And Uganda is a very funny country where if power is in surplus, the more they will ask for the more it will cost you as a citizen.
Allow me to throw this to Captain Francis.
So in a minute,
just very quickly,
I would think that Ugandans have a lot to do, especially in terms of such bigger projects. Most of those bigger projects there are certain kickbacks which fall behind. That's why you see they do the work, the engineers do the work in a short way because of too much kickbacks which are asked by politicians. I'm saying so not because of not because I'm a politician, but because I'm a Ugandan, I know what is taking place behind such bigger projects. They are owned by individuals. You see some engineers doing some shoulder work.
We are lucky.
Why is it at the work?
Honorable Tamaguzi, we are lucky to be speaking to you who has information about some of the things that are going on. We shall be glad, for example, if you can share some of this information with us, especially with regard to Isimba Power Dam or even the power projects within the country. What can you share with us?
No, I've already shared with you what I'm supposed to share with you. I have told you we get shoulder work because Ugandans are too reluctant to fall up in such bigger projects. Those are projects of Uganda.
General information.
They are not individual projects. So as a Ugandan, I know Mr. Chigenyi is a Ugandan, Mr. Babu is a Ugandan, Rutamagu, you outside the Ugandan, you are supposed to ask for accountability from such projects, because at the end of the day, it's you who pay taxes to ensure that you can have the energy.
Captain Babu, 2 questions for you. What is the state of power supply in the country in terms of the fact that the MP has spoken about we have surplus, and it has been communicated very well that we have surplus, to the extent that we are shocked that something as small, an incident so small, can plunge us into a crisis. The other thing is, where are the engineers that do this job? Shouldn't they be the ones communicating some of these complexities to the Ugandans so that we can fully understand, instead of having a vacillating minister come forth and in the middle of an explanation she realizes she's not making the point and laughs at herself?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, let me get the word politician out of the way.
All right.
A politician is anybody who is a Ugandan, and somebody somewhere wrote that every man or woman is a political animal.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are.
We are all political animals.
Secondly, the bad politician has got a bad connotation in this country because the bad ones are the ones called politicians. The good ones, they call them leaders.
Exactly.
Now, let us get to this point clear.
Yeah.
Politics is the management of society. When you manage society, you're a politician, regardless of your level.
That's right.
We try to be a little bit more casual, that somebody who is in the civil service should not play politics. They should implement what they are given. They are managers. So we have leaders who are the political leaders, and then we have the managers who implement in the ministry. After that said, and then we have very bad culture of our workers in the whole country. And that bad culture is brought about by senior people who set bad precedent. Now, the condescending attitude of some of our leaders to the citizens of Uganda is also bad. Lastly, I want to tell Rutamaguzi, there are very few people who understand what a dam is. Very few.
Very few.
What is a dam?
Do you want Chigenyi to teach everyone what the dam is?
The average person going to Jinja knows that the old bridge, this is a dam.
That's a dam.
What does it do? Then they tell you there's a spillover. Well, very few people know. Let's just be honest. So the average person in Kamuli cannot go and start fighting about Isimba.
Engineer captain.
Wait, tell me first. The average person, the leader in that area, what he called the politicians, are the ones to tell the people that this is a very important project. It is ours, and we must therefore, and tell them what it is. Therefore, Mr. Rutamaguzi, when he goes to Ruero, he should tell them what a dam is, what it does.
What it does.
Now, that's why we have members of parliament. So I want to bring that point out of the way. Now,
so
the condescending attitude, let me finish. The condescending attitude of some of our leaders is very common, despising the people who put them there. Yeah, so they need to change their attitude, even the way they speak to us. Because as we go on, we shall call them to order. It doesn't really matter when. Now, when you are, the other day, I gave you an example earlier on, the Ministry of Health brought 2 professors, a doctor, a pediatric doctor, and they brought somebody from WHO. They talked about COVID. I understood everything after they finished. They knew. They were the permanent Secretary of Health. Now, why doesn't the Minister of Energy get his expert, come and sit in the studio and explain to us about all these things? Then we will not go looking for rumors. We will not go looking for wrong information. Now, if there is something they also have, now the people you're talking about who work for government, they fear. They fear to talk. Most of this information I've given you has been given by people in that ministry.
That's right.
They actually fear to even mention a word. So the whole point is, you've got to get them to come and explain, and also tell, yes, we have some defects, we have this, we can do this, this is going to happen. Now, lastly, before I finish, I want to get this point very clear. Generation is very important for this country, it's strategic.
Yes.
Without electricity, we can't have a lot of investors, we cannot exploit some of our resources, and so on and so forth.
We cannot undertake industrialization.
Therefore, it is so important that the 2 arms of government, which is executive and parliament, must clearly come out on this issue. And if they don't, they're actually not serving this country well. They are supposed to come and explain to us what is going on. Now, the reason why some of I happen to have been in the ministry when they started all these programs.
Yeah, the Ministry of Energy.
So, and our people should be told that there is Owenfall, there is Narubare, there is Bujagari, there is Isimba, there is Bujagari, Karuma. Then they are even planning to have Ayego, which is a little bit further on the river. Yeah. Now, we must also tell them, look, having these ones is also a little bit serious. A lot of people of environments don't like it because it fills up the river, it fills up our lake. And then the people who are receiving the water at the end in the Nile, they are complaining that we're having too many generators. That's right. Too many dams. So we need to explain our people, and they need to know. And after they have known, they are going to. Now, the price of electricity in my house is too much.
That's what.
Especially in this COVID we're in. I was telling people the other day that the Minister of Energy has 3 things they have to do for us. They have to tell us more about fuel. How can we make it a little bit cheaper? I saw gas went from 140 to 113,000. But the bag of charcoal is about 100,000.
120.
If you made gas 50,000, and to last the same time as the bag, people will stop using the charcoal.
Yeah, people will stop using charcoal.
So you'll be killing 2 birds with one stone. You'll have an environment, you'll have gas at a reasonable price. Tanzania has got gas. Rwanda has got gas from Kivu. The question is, how can we ask our neighbors to give us that gas? Now, those are areas we must be exploiting. Now, the last one is about electricity. We are paying so much money because there are so many loans. You cannot expect the government to pay those loans without asking us to pay. So we are paying. The only way that can come out is to mitigate that. The government needs to find a way to pay the loans and charge us a normal fee. A dam goes between 25 and 35 years, the lifespan. Yeah. The question is, the one of Owen Falls has overpassed those years.
Beyond half a century.
So we need somebody, and those experts, to come and we interrogate them, and they talk to us, and we talk to them. And the people, the average man here today, how much is electricity? Full stop. Yeah. They don't know where it comes from. So you tell us the electricity has gone down by half the price, everybody would understand what you're talking about.
Honorable Tamaguzi, an inquiry to be instituted into this whole saga, and where exactly do you go from here as a parliament? You've spoken about the need that we are looking at you with so much expectations, and we shouldn't actually, but Captain Francis Babu has just told us that you actually ought to be doing a lot more than simply asking Ugandans to get up in arms and ask the harder questions. What are your questions you're asking right now? You don't even think you go an inquiry?
What Ugandans want now is value for money. I'm lucky I'm seated with a former minister in this government who knows how things are run under NRM government. There are people who have the capacity to serve in certain positions but are not given a chance. If I may ask, why is it that it is the Minister, Honorable Nankabirwa, who comes and explains? Do we have engineers who can come and explain to the public? And second, what did she study? Because these days you have questions about what people studied. You can bring an MDD person who studied MDD, no matter from where or Swassa, to come and explain things which are supposed to be explained by engineers. So we may try to put up a probe. We have had several probes, but what have they yielded? Nothing. You get a report, they put it in the dustbin, and they say life is supposed to continue. Uganda is taken, almost Ugandans are taken for granted, because none of you has ever come out to ask for so many probes which Parliament has initiated so far. What ended? What are the end results? So I heard Honorable Captain Engineer Babu talking about the cost of electricity.
Yeah.
It's too much. But you are the same person who told us here that we are supposed to go and explain to Ugandans what a dam is. Ugandans are not interested in knowing what a dam is. They are interested in getting power at a relatively cheaper cost. Affordability of power is what we are talking about. My grandmother in Nakaseke, in Kasangombe, Chigenyi's grandmother or father is not interested to know what a turbine is, how does a turbine produce power. Is interested in getting power.
What is the switchboard?
You want a switchboard?
Okay.
No.
All right.
So lastly,
Yes.
we are all Ugandans. We are all responsible for all the mess that is happening at Isimba. It shouldn't be only people in Kamuri, all members of Parliament. We should sit down, people from different entities can sit down, because power is not only generated for people of Kamuri or for members of Parliament. Power from Isimba is for all Ugandans. We should sit down and ask for accountability. Is the minister supposed to come and apologize? Is she the one who's supposed to talk on behalf of the Isimba people? Don't we have more competent people to explain what happened and what are the causes? Are we yet to rectify the defects? Because this might be a money-making venture. The politicians comes out and it tells you that, you know what? We have a defect somewhere. Water entered, supply something. We want money, and for you people, you just keep quiet when these people say we want money. You never follow up the value of that money, because I know that money is going to come out. They're asking for $200 million, is it $200 million to buy power from Kenya, and you think you Ugandans think these people will pay that money to Kenya?
I'm glad you brought that up. The fact that Uganda, according to the Daily Monitor today, we bought power. We received power from Kenya,
yes.
And upon restoration of generation at Isimba, we are paying back in kind with the same amount of power. Has that been brought to the knowledge of Parliament?
Not yet. It is new in my ears.
The Daily Monitor is reporting.
Yes, the Daily Monitor is written by individuals. It's not written by. It's written by individuals. Like Chigenyi can sit down and look for a story and put it in the papers. But what I'm asking for, what type of paying in kind are you talking about?
Has Parliament been approached on the decision to buy power?
I heard it in the corridors, but it's not official. I heard it in the corridors that some people have been informed of Uganda to get power from Kenya, and then we shall see how to pay. But at the end of the day, I know there is money which is going to go into someone's pocket somewhere, someday, especially at this time when when most of Ugandans are almost sleeping and no one is following up, and it ends up.
Captain seems to be amazed by all this. Tell us, how do we move forward?
I'm not amazed.
I'm sorry to misrepresent.
There's a loss of trust.
Loss of trust
in people who are in leadership. When when you talk with an arrogant attitude towards our people, they look at you and say, but the Ugandans understand. Don't underestimate them. And that's why I want to tell my brother, when you are explaining the people in Luwero, in your constituency, you tell them the reason why we are paying so much money, because we borrowed money from China, and we made a dam of $567 million. We have to pay so that we can pay that loan. And then, but what is a dam? This is what happens. Electricity comes from there when they use water so that we can use it.
Because they need that basic information.
As simple as
that.
Now, after you've done that, you tell them, the only way we can do it is government to find another source to pay that loan so that we can go on only on the operational cost. That one they can bring the cost down. Okay. Now, these are things that we can talk about as we go along. Now, as for people who have got an attitude in government, there are many, and therefore I do not disagree with what he's saying. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof, but we have had the Auditor General and many other organs of government telling us there's a mistake in Karuma, there's now a mistake in Isimba. We want to know really what happened with that kind of money.
And a second, within a minute, do you know that accessing power is too costly in Uganda?
Yeah, sure. That's the question I was going to ask.
Too costly. Power. You just get it from here. Yes. Then just a one pole costs 2.8 million. Just a pole which is not purchased from South Africa.
We are hoping that discussion can be introduced on the floor of Parliament so that new tariffs and the overall cost around the...
We have done it so several times, but nothing much has changed. And as Captain Engineer Bagwas told you...
Please, quickly.
They are listening to us.
Yes.
And recently, when we talked about Uganda and some of us, people came back and answered. I've got a very strong thing that Ugandans should realize that anything to do with energy is a multiplier effect in our economy.
That's right.
One, electricity controls the water you get on tap. Electricity controls a lot of industries. Therefore, the commodities that come out there cost more. Fuel costs transport problem. It's a multiplier effect. All right? So anything to do with energy is a strategic for a nation like ours. We need it to be at a reasonable price.
How can we lower the cost?
By sitting down and what I've just, for example, these loans we have for the dams. The question: how do we pay them? Do we pay them in a different way? Do we find another source of income so that the operation of the dam, the price is a little bit lower?
Okay.
Because now we are including we are putting a loan on top of the operation, and therefore we have to pay more money for one unit. The president has been trying to bring that unit down using Bujagari and all that, but he's having a lot of resistance because we have borrowed money again.
And then thermal generation?
Yeah. Generation, yeah.
Yeah, by thermal?
Thermal would be good, but it's still experimental.
Very experimental.
The thermal we had here were generators. They are very expensive and people made a fortune out of them. So
interesting.
We need to be very careful.
All right, gentlemen, you spoke about energy and its multiplier effect, and right now one of the sectors that are grappling with aspects of leadership and management is the air transport industry in Uganda. When we return from this very short break, we shall be digging into what is happening at Uganda Airlines and understand whether the national carrier can actually stay in the skies. Stay with us.
Watching Morning at NTV.
New and improved Omo with a new look. An unbeatable stain removal. Omo, unbeatable stain removal. Hello, women entrepreneurs in Lira. Here is a chance to grow your business. Daily Monitor, in partnership with DFCU Women in Business and Uganda Investment Authority, bring to you the Rising Woman Training in Lira. Don't miss the free trainings to all business women in Lira and surrounding districts on 24th and 25th August 2022 at City Hall, Lira. For queries, visit any DFCU branch, Daily Monitor, and Uganda Investment Authority offices, or call DFCU Bank 0800 222000 or 0777530044. Rising Woman, taking your business ahead.
One experts enjoy true feelings, a flood of emotions, a rush of adrenaline, the taste of victory. Are you ready?
1xBet operates under Advanced Gaming Limited and is licensed and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board. Betting is addictive and can be psychologically harmful, and it is eligible to persons above 25 years of age.
Saturday mutangira omune NTV ne nalo ne kumulundi kuno bakuletedde Seeds of God Farm Clinic ey'enjawulo ennamulongi na kyesasa era nga sira balitadde ku kulunda ente n'embuzi jangu era ofuna okusomesebwa okukyasinze ku bulamu bw'ebisolo endya yabyo ennungi okubizaazisa okukola emmere yabyo n'okubijjanjaba endwadde ez'enjawulo ku lw'omukaaga 10/12/2022 okutandika ku ssaawa emu ey'okumakya okumanya ebisingawo kuba ku noti 777 53 noti 44 ne ku noti 756 84 91 asatu nga biwagiddwa Chinese Embassy, Stanbic Bank, NSSF ne Zowetis. Seeds of God ku lw'ennima ennungi n'amukungula g'omuyiika.
On the next episode
Is brought to you by
Enjoy as you win in the Twegateko promotion today.
On the next episode.
This week on Money and Markets.
One of the challenges we are facing, especially in our export promotion, is that people continue to doubt our standards. And I think one of the things that we are going to focus on is building confidence in the products that we produce here.
Winning is easy. Just buy a Rock Boom or La Vita and check under the cap. What you see is what you win. Enjoy as you win in the Twegateko promotion today. Call toll-free number 0800 299 008.
Techno, stop at nothing.
Hello, we're glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. The hashtag is Morning at NTV on Twitter. We are also on Facebook and as well streaming live on YouTube. Be part of the conversation across those platforms. Now, we are shifting your attention to Uganda Airlines. In the past 2 weeks, there's been contestation of management positions within the airline, especially after it emerged that the appointment of the current Chief Executive Officer, Jennifer Bamonturaki, was not conventional. We all know, and that reports came out when the advertisement for that particular job, we had an appointment issued even before the deadline for advancement of applications could be, or rather could elapse. Now that alone brought into play questions about recruitment and exactly how everything is going on. We shall stay on the bigger picture, which is Uganda Airlines, and try to understand the strategic points that could take us to arenas where the airline is first and foremost profitable, but, well, most importantly, a key aspect of our strategic transformation agenda. If you're just joining us, the discussion in studio here, we have Lutamaguzi Semakula, the MP for Nakaseke South, as well as Captain Francis Babu. I would like to begin with Captain Francis Babu, what he makes of the current turbulence within the aviation industry in Uganda.
It's a storm in a teacup. It's not even a turbulence. Let us talk about the airline. Let's have the big picture. The problem is we pick up small things and we split hair. Let us look at why the startup of this airline. First and foremost, let me get one point very clear. It is a strategic industry for this country.
That's right.
Being landlocked on the African continent, it is a way out in case if we have any problem. So that the location of Uganda and Entebbe Airport is probably one of the best. Before we had problems in 1970, Uganda was the hub for the whole of East Africa. But when we had a problem, the hub moved to Nairobi.
That's right.
Now, after we've got that point clear, we need an airline strategically. So the decision was correct.
Yeah.
During that period, I was called and I talked to a big panel of people. And I told them, I said, airline is very good, like I've just told you. We need an airline very badly. But the management is going to let us down because the management is going to become political. Please don't do that. Ethiopian Airlines does not allow politics in the airline. Nobody in the government gives them what to do. the person they choose is the one who runs the airline. Now, in a business startup, or airline startup for that matter, one must have certain things on the fingertips. One, you do not start with boards and employing people and all that. You start with a small nucleus of experts, probably outsourced, even out of this country. Independent. They come and set up an airline and set it up in such a way that it is going to start working, because the airline business is one of the most competitive business in the world. Yes. In fact, if you look at their spreadsheets, you'll be very surprised that the internal rate of return to get an airline which reaches 20% is impossible. They are all way below, around 10 downwards. But the capital outlay to run an airline is so big. And if you get people like us who go to buy aeroplanes, it becomes even bigger. People don't buy aeroplanes when they are starting an airline. They lease aeroplanes because you're not sure about even the route. So you lease an aeroplane, you do the route, and if you see it's coming up, you move on. Then you don't buy the aeroplane cash, you buy something called a lease purchase, whereby you pay every so often. Now that's what Singapore Airline does, or that's what most of these big airlines do. They don't buy aeroplanes cash. And after you've run it for a period of time, they take that aeroplane back, they give you a new one, and you continue paying. So the whole idea of running an airline, right from the beginning, was not done very well. There has been a glitch in starting up this airline. Now, when you started having boards, because this is the second board, you started having boards, you started having big people, then you created a problem. You should have gone out there and brought somebody to start it up, like what they did with the Emirates. Emirates, that's how it started. Yeah, in 1985. Yeah, it started with a group of people. The man is an Irishman who was their chairman, and they did a fantastic job. Set up an airline. This airline of ours is good. It can actually work after 5, 6, 7 years to break even. And it will require very smart fellows to set it up. Now, these nice people who we have, who want to be, who Ugandans would like to put in the airline, they can work under these people for training. But they must also be qualified before they are trained. And smart enough. And smart enough to be able to take over from this gentleman. Now, this is something we should have done a long time ago. What you are seeing now is something that comes out of a bigger problem. Okay? It's a simple, how would you call it? A sign that things are not well. Now, when I had somebody say, oh, we see, I've been there, no airplane has fallen down on the ground. The pilots we have are one of the best. We have very good pilots, very well trained, and they do a good job, the engineers. But of course, they are also frustrated. They are not very happy people. So you're having a situation where you have frustration. Now let's take this latest thing which is disturbing everybody. The power there be, that's the ministry and the executive head, the president, goes and chooses a board of 7 people. Yeah. Now, when you choose them, then you come and choose a managing director also for the board. Now, the managing director is supposed to work under the board. Now, if you make the managing director be at the same level, you say, you didn't choose me, I was chosen by another power. That's right. That causes conflict. And now that conflict can be bigger, and people don't realize it, that the managing director will not be able to work because the board will not accept what she or he is saying. So you're having that problem. Now, for the qualifications, which people are shouting about, that would not be a problem if somebody had been, we had the American system where somebody comes out of university, goes into an aviation organization and is trained from the bottom in different departments, and after so many years, that person can become a manager. So that would not be a very big problem. Unfortunately, that's not what has happened here. And lastly, to spoil other people's reputation is not good. It's not a good idea. I think the people themselves must say, listen, I'm not really fit to be this. I should be able to say it myself. You don't just... All right, before we go to Honorable Tamaguze, allow me ask you one question. If the United Nations came forth and appointed you to be Under Secretary General, would you tell the United Nations that I am not fit? Please do not consider me. Oh, unfortunately, if ICAO called me, I'm fit. I, as Babu. You are fit. But other people might not be fit. For example, if you wrote somebody like the other one we're talking about, might not be fit. People who run ICAO, directors and whatnot, have been in aviation. I was a pilot for 20 years. I was a check pilot. I was a test pilot. So I'm slightly different. And I was
just bringing the context into this. The fact that you've been appointed,
for example,
you've been given the mandate.
If you chose me to be the head of Mulago Hospital, I'll say no.
Okay.
If you chose me
to
be the Attorney General, I'll say no.
Honorable Rutamaguzi, what do you make of this whole crisis? There's been a lot of attention that has been put on the person of the CEO, Jennifer Bamunturaki, including qualifications, a discussion that I do not want to delve into because at the end of the day, Makerere University should be able to settle this once and for all. And then...
And UNEB.
Yes, and UNEB, they should be able to settle. The tendency for one crisis in one aspect of government or one department tends to bring forth more like incompetencies in another department. I would expect Makerere University and UNEB to promptly say, well, in our books, this is this and this and this and this, and then that discussion is settled. And then we get to the point of the aspect of core competence. Has this person been ingrained in this industry? Has she or he been brought up step by step to be able to take on the role that they've taken on? Is that the kind of excavation that you've done, or we're also playing the politics of the day as members of parliament?
The problem of Uganda Airlines is bigger than the individual of Jennifer Bamunturaki. It's bigger. Right from the resumption of that airline, you saw it in parliament where a certain minister brought some minutes that Uganda had only 1% as a country. But later, within just some few hours, the following day, he brought up a revised ownership. Just hours. so
revised ownership.
Yes.
Yes.
Just within a few hours. And that's why Mr. Higgenyi, I tell you, Ugandans are
Mr. Higgenyi.
Mr. Higgenyi.
Yes.
Ugandans are not very serious. No one followed up on such matter. So when you look at the engineer Captain Babu knows that you don't need rocket science to manage an airline, but you need competent people in their respective positions. You don't just appoint cousins, relatives, and what to come and run such an airline. You need competent people in their respective positions. If I may ask you, Mr. Engineer, Honorable Captain Babu, the money we get from flying, it's not the money that runs an airline.
No.
It's the ground. We call it ground service, where we get
ground handling.
Ground handling, where we get 95% of.
And in Uganda's case, that is what NHAS does.
No, in Uganda's case, someone, in fact, they never even gave up a tender. Someone just came up, me, I'm going to run it. And he lives there. And in the video. So as much as we blame this woman, but the crisis is far bigger than yesterday of Bamunturaki. As parliament, when we came out to ask some individuals who are getting billions of money from what we call Uganda Airport, an individual scooping billions of money, we ask now, how did you get a tender? Did you compete? Then someone said, no, I was just given a tender by certain so and so. I am getting billions from the airport. Then you hear that some planes are grounded. And then they tell you that, you see, yes, they are grounded, but then even the airline has a debt of 500 billions. And then you hear there is an incompetent person. That's from Miru Tamaguzi. There is an incompetent person who did not even show her academic competence, because there is no way you can tell me that Mr. Higgenyi can give Rutamaguzi a job without looking at my qualifications. Then he sits somewhere, they tell you an airline that is making a loss of 500 billion, then the CEO earns 87 million, just salary. Not allowances, just salary only.
All right,
no, I'm just giving you just something small about it. We may complain, we may cry, but at the end of the day, just 1 week with Ugandans will forget that story. and life will continue. We had.
You mean the monitor will forget?
No,
NTV won't forget.
No, Mr. Higenyu will forget.
No, I won't.
And I think within a month, at least I'll try to call you within a month, that are you still following up on the story of Uganda Airlines? So it's a sad story, but it's a sad story. But what I want to input as a Ugandan, we know that in Uganda, most of these people have been given mandate to run government entities. In Uganda, they say, but what they could, they start eating immediately. We had the saga of Uganda Railways Corporation.
Yes.
You had the saga of Uganda Transport Company. You had the UCB. If someone cannot manage even a bus company, how come that such a person can be tempted to run an airline?
Allow us to understand the dynamics in the airlines industry, because there were Ugandans who thought that 87 million, as seen when the reports came out, 15 million, 45 million for some of the
80 million
engineers, pilots and officials within Uganda Airlines is way too much money. What are the standards and what are the rates across the globe? I'm not saying Ugandans should be paid like the American pilots, absolutely not, but we should be able to understand that somebody receiving this amount of money is way out of touch with reality, or, well, justifiable given the rates across the globe.
If we had a good airline running,
yes,
those are the market rates.
If we had a good airline,
those are the market rates, but not for the managing director. Pilots would earn more. And it's very simple. An Airbus is $300 million. Its insurance is very high. A pilot who flies it must be accepted by the insurance that that person will not cause an accident, and the passengers on board. Each passenger on board is insured. And therefore that salary is really not much if it was a market rate. Unfortunately in Africa, we are not in the market rate yet. As countries, we are poor countries. Therefore the salary should be a little bit lower and accepted by people to build the capacity to be able to get to the market rate. Now, finishing that, I wanted to make it very, very clear.
Yes.
That if you take United Nations, in Nairobi where they work, the salaries of those technical people who are in the United Nations, I'm using dollars now, is between $3,000 and $10,000. All right? Those are the, we think, get good money in New York, everywhere they work. Now, when you look at Uganda Airlines, they could have started at a reasonable rate like all other parastatals we have, where people get 10 million, 15, 20 million shillings and so on and so forth. That would come maximum $5,000, $3,000, $2,000, instead of 20, because that lady is now earning about $25,000.
$25,000.
Now, $25,000 is too much for our startup. For the startup of the airline. Now, those group which I told you, if you brought them here without the board and everything, that would be their money, but they would be here for just 1 year to make sure the airline is moving. Now, that would be a consultancy fee rather than a salary. Now, that said and done, what they're talking about is what the market rate would pay them. A pilot, that's what he would get in the Saudi Arabian Airlines, in the Emirates, and everywhere. The managing director of Emirates gets $100,000 a month. But we have people here in the bank who are earning up to 100 million, 150 million. They are managing directors. So that to me is not the problem. The problem, do we have a competent person to get that money?
All right.
That's another point. Now, lastly, I don't want Ugandans to be bogged down by these salaries, because that's something we can change. I would say, and if I was to ask my advice, what does a chief executive of these parastatals get? They'll tell me, they've told me there are people who earn between 20, for NSSF is about 39. About 39 million. 39. Well, put this person around that area so that they don't look, they wouldn't be. Now with the pilots, you have a problem, because if they left, you will not have anybody. You won't have anybody. You have somebody who earns more money. Now, lastly, I don't want to waste, that's a diversion. This is something very simple. Very quickly. The problem, the biggest problem with this airline, we've got to get politics out of it. Like the old airline died because of politics. Economists came and said, no, close it down. Kenya Airways, they told them to close it down. They said, no, we are maintaining our aircrafts. If we had stayed with our airline, probably we would have learned some lessons and we would be doing very well now.
Honorable Tamaguzi, your last word on this.
Ugandans are soon to attend the funeral rites of Uganda Airlines like they did to UCB. Very soon. Yes, you be prepared. You should be prepared. Because it's really a very big joke to hear such a company making bigger losses and hear the CEO and the company getting such huge salaries. Please respect taxpayers. I know that these people are handpicked by some politicians to come and head those parastatals, but at the end of the day, they should know there is a suffering Ugandan who cannot even afford 2 meals a day. Please.
One.
Please, I'm talking about a Ugandan. I'm talking a Ugandan, but there are Ugandans down there. So as much as some of you talk arrogantly, some of you feel you are in your heavens, think about the ground of Mr. Higenyi down, deeper down in the village there, who cannot even afford the cost of electricity, who cannot afford soap, who cannot afford salt, and at the end of the day you come bragging. Now, I didn't give in my academic qualifications. Why? So I know there are several projects. There are several entities which are being started by government. But because of the indiscipline, these parastatals have not managed to stand. I wish one time, at a certain time, Mr. President, Mr. Museveni, you wake up and you try to investigate about what is happening in all parastatals. You may not, it may take you a full week without you sleeping again. Why? Wow. Because there is a lot of, this is not stealing, this is broad day robbery. There is a lot of robbing in all of these government parastatals. So I am not surprised to see what is happening at Uganda Airlines. And if I may ask you, do you think Uganda Airlines is for Uganda? If I may ask.
Well, that question,
last time I heard even someone who bought a name. I heard someone who bought a name Uganda Airlines.
Yes. I want to say, the minister came out and said, please don't talk so badly about the airline, because the airline business is sensitive like a bank. You actually lose, and people stop flying with you. But I wanted to tell the Honorable Katumba, who's a very nice man, that actually the problem is with the airline. Even if we don't talk about it, it is already on the international platform.
That's right.
If we don't talk about it as Ugandans, so that solutions can be found, it will get even worse. Even worse.
I'm sure that this discussion has, of course, brought forth some of the issues that you need to work on as a Ugandan yourself to be able to bring to book, and for the politicians and the leaders that we have to account for some of the actions that are undertaken. I do not know whether if you receive a call in Uganda today and you've been appointed for a position, you will look into yourself and ask, am I ready or am I competent? That's a discussion we can have at a personal level. Well, for now, that's it. It's been a pleasure having your company on Morning at NTV. But as we go, happy birthday to Mr. Lubega Paul. Lubega Paul is dad to one of our very erstwhile colleagues here, Jose.
They resemble.
They do resemble.
They resemble.
Now, Jose is the guy, that wide-eyed guy.
Oh, Jose, happy birthday.
No, it's the father's birthday.
They actually look like the father.
Both of them. Yeah, sure. So happy birthday, Mr. Lubega Paul. Like we always say, may the stars realign themselves to your destiny, and of course, prosperity be yours for the days.
My wife's birthday is tomorrow. Right, Honorable Margaret Ziwa.
Well,
she'll be over 18.
All right, send us a pic. We shall be sending our regards tomorrow to the Honorable.
That's very nice, kind of you.
Thank you.